Hey, it's Wally. Mashing a breakfast stout, Founder's breakfast stout clone today. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do a one take on my phone, see if I can get some information about my brew stand, and show you guys some little intricate stuff. Stuff you may find interesting, you may think may be helpful. But we'll start with the boil kettle. Right now, I've got a couple thermal well attachments on there. I usually put digital thermometers on there so I know what the temperature of the wort is as it leaves my boil kettle and goes into my counterflow chiller and comes back in. I know what my output is and my input is. But let's see. Basically, I've got a small copper return line. Thought was whirlpool, but it's not really worth a crap when it comes to whirlpooling. See, that's my false bottoms. Those are 11.5-inch diameters. I made those, pop riveted everything together. You can see the hinges are on the top, so the thing will fold down. If you push on it hard enough, it'll actually push down. So, thought behind that, nothing really, no rhyme, no reason behind it. But in my mash tun, I had exact same setup. You put a lot of greens on that, and it pushes it down. So I flipped it over, so it's a lot harder to push the false bottom down. And never had a stuck mash. Done a couple barley wines and the Russian Imperials and that. Never had an issue. Let me go turn this son of a bitch off. Sorry about that, but I like to use the compressed air to blow out my pumps once I'm done, or if I spill some water, if I wipe it up, I can take the compressed air and blow it out. But anyway, alright, there is the boil kettle. Basically, you know, your average keg converted. Let's see, sight glass, all that from Brew Hardware. Actually, all my stuff's from Brew Hardware. Let me move my spoon here. I'll show you how I got my big Bayou Classic burner. I got it mounted just on some quarter 20 all thread with some homemade L brackets. And all this, you see those L brackets that everything's attached to, that's just 1x1 tubing. I think it's like 1/8-inch wall or 060 wall. It's not super heavy duty stuff, but that's what the top of it's all made out of. Basically, this was a 4x4 shelf that I got from my father-in-law, and now it's a 3x5. So I took a foot out, we narrowed it down on the sides, and I took that foot and I put it into the center of it, so then it made it longer, so it's not square, it's rectangular now. So the whole top's all 1x1 square. This is shelving here that I welded everything to the top to. So it's a 3/8 manifold. I'll get to that later. I've got these chases made out of bed frame. Basically, I turned them up and cut them to length, put them on top of each other, and welded them together. And I say I welded them, which I did not. It's been over 20 years since I've done any welding, so my brother welded it up for me. But all of my lines go into my burners, same setup, 3/8 ball valve to needle valve. That way I can adjust the flame height with the needle. Ball valves are strictly on-off. It's been my experience that needle valve will leak eventually. But so basically, you know, wooden bottom, two chugger pumps in there. Basically, the extension cords are running through that hole and go to this box, electrical box. So it's what's one outlet. I split it in two, controlled by 2 switches, and that whole entire unit is held on by 4 screws. So I can take that off, 5 screws, and I can take it off if I need to. All these heat shields, it's all, you know, thin gauge sheet metal, and believe it or not, all these fasteners are all stainless. Even though look like they've rusted, it's actually just, you know, whatever, it's mortar, something like that's touched it, then they'll rust. But anyway, my boil kettle, I've actually got As you can see, I've got 2 layers of sheet metal separated by some washers. So I've got an air gap in there. But if I take ambient water and try to boil ambient water, it will boil in the sight glass. But 140, 150 degree wort, once it's being transferred from the mash tun, it will not boil in there. But let's see. Here's my rims tube. One thing I did do, I wanted to do 2 weeks ago when I was brewing, was use my rims tube setup with just hanging it off of the return line. So I'm going to try to also use that to heat my sparge water. I'm going to go ahead and heat it in my hot liquor tank, but I'm going to go use that as like a secondary heater to maintain the heat. So let's see. I got just a couple hooks on the side so I can wrap my extension cord around it. Let's see. On the back side, it's open. You can see how the kegs just barely sit on there, but there's enough room in the sides that I can get bigger pots if I wanted to. I would just have to take and knock those tops off of those L brackets. So I'd basically knock the top off that L bracket and relocate that top nut, and everything would be fine, be flat. I could put everything I wanted to on the top of that. Now, thinking, oh, my clearance, I got that off of Homebrew Talk, and I think it's about 3.5 inches or 4 inches or something like that, and it works perfect. And you can see it's all 3/8 black iron manifold, and everything's stock length. I bought it for a McMaster car. All the nipples, the T's, all that stuff, I just painted black. And at the very end, you can see where it's got the coupler on that. Basically what I did, I had a Bayou Classic burner, and I just harvested the regulator, the hose, and the nipple, and attached it to my 3/8 manifold. So you can see how I got my 2 small burners hooked up, just a piece of thin gauge angle iron with some more 1/4 20 all thread coming off the bottom of my framework there. So, and then I got the same L brackets on the inside of the keggles, so they can't go anywhere. Once they're on there, they'll never fall off unless something catastrophic happens. But let's see here. I think that's really about it. Questions, comments, kind of throwing this together real quick, but you know, I wanted to keep all my controls in the front side, but I didn't want all the gas lines showing. So these chases, they do 2 things for me. They allow me to run my LP gas lines back, and it also serves as a kind of like a barrier for the heat, so it can't get to them. And let's see, all those are just basically LP gas lines from like an RV store. Well, they are. I bought them from an online RV store, but you know, they're big enough. I can put 2 on one side, and I've got 1 running this side. I bought these needle valves off of an online store. I have to look all that stuff up, but mostly everything else. You know, this box is from Lowe's. This conduit's from Lowe's. The outdoor box is from Lowe's. This whole thing's watertight. So these 2 switches are watertight. The outlet's watertight. So let's see. Now I'm matching it. I want it to be 155, but it's at 154.8. Not a big deal. One thing I noticed since I moved my rims tube there, the temperature kind of fluctuated a little bit more. I've been kind of playing with my preset temperature a little bit, but you know, it's just, I don't understand. I would think it wouldn't be a big deal, but it is just kind of playing with it a little bit. But anyway, let's see. Hot liquor tank is basically all I've got in there. Is just a dip tube. sight glass. One valve. Everything I've got is weldless. One project I'm thinking about doing is maybe soldering some half-inch nipples on that stuff. But for right now, I think everything works the way it is. So let's see. I think, having said that, I think I'm gonna probably sign out. So I'm gonna get a beer because it's lunchtime. Just finished some coffee. I'm out in the garage today. It's a nice blustery 40 degrees outside, and get a beer, drink a beer, maybe drink another beer, maybe another beer, then well, hell, maybe I'll drink another beer. Okay, but anyway, guys, I'll see you guys, Homebrew Wednesday, whatever, when I post this. Maybe today. I don't know. Today being Saturday. Anyway, cheers. See ya.